Welcome back. It is the winner's match of this group, Group D. Snute versus Bly. Snute 2-0'd Zake and Bly 2-0'd Special, aka Major. So now we have a ZvZ. Sounds about right for Europe. In the top right, as the red Zerg, it is Bly. In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, it is Liquid Snute. Getting a little bit of a tingling in my throat. But Rifkin is awake and might be covering soon enough. Group C and D are happening at the same time. Confirmed, with Showtime beating, sort of. So just the winners, losers, and decider left for me. ZvZ between these guys at one point was pretty historic. I think it's been a while since we've seen them together in like a finals or semifinals. We've just been doing a lot more Korean stuff. Like that's actually probably the main reason for it. Not necessarily that they both have fallen off, although Bly has had his ups and downs as usual, and Snute has been mostly steady. But just that, you know, compared to the Korean stuff we do, you know, it's a flip-flop from last year. It used to be all European stuff. Easiest people to work with, best time zones for viewership and us, and now it's all Korean stuff. Which I don't mind at all. But it means less ZvZ, thank goodness. The other channels are casting the other games, basically. I think they're back down to just doing a single match at a time from each group, but there are two groups happening at the same time, so make sure to check out all the other channels. Foreign and Wardy, I guess, is the other English caster included. I think we've split up appropriately now that we're no longer kind of in limbo. Yeah. Alright then. Proxima Station. 3 bases for Snutes already. Bly just going for that quicker speed. I mean, Proxima, not the best map for it, but a map available to go for the wall off of a Roach Run Evolution Chamber. You can see it's really not the best. But sometimes you see it happen. As eventually that creep rate gets far enough, and eventually it might just be the best part of your plan. I would say that it's still more usual, of course, to see the speedlings come out eventually, but Snute would be one of the guys to bring back that old macro standard, because it's very much so a macro build when you do that. Whereas Bly is definitely the one to go for even the earlier speed and the early lair. I think he just canceled speed to get an earlier lair. But he still wants it, you know, he still wants to be able to control the map and have something that Snute doesn't, basically, but went for a very early lair indeed. I think that was even after the Overlord spotted. Oh, just kidding. Never got any close. But if it had gotten close, it would have been a cool trick. This queen going way, way forward. For someone who didn't get speed, that's awfully bold. And who doesn't realize that his opponent doesn't have speed. Yeah, I think in most of the games that queen is dead. Oh, she backs off now? Oh yeah, that's too far. Before it was just fine. Ooh, okay. Anyways, that spire should be for... well, there you go. The lair should be for a spire. It's like I said the name of the movie, or I said the spoiler first. As if it was already a Roachborn planted down, I would say, okay, she's gonna go for like a slower third base and a Roach speed and all that jazz, but no, it's speed on the way, no Roachborn, Spire now on the way as well. Roachborn, of course, for Snute, who does have the option of walling off. If Bly had been any quicker to like an all-in with his speedlings, Snute would have tried to accommodate accordingly, but as is, from what he's seen, now seeing a third base being put down, he probably figures, okay, he didn't attack me, so unless it's like literally right now, 30 or 40 lings pop into my main base, I think he's gonna go for a Spire. I think you can kind of deduct that from what you've seen. So he probably knows he's gonna be going up against Mutas, but would like to get a confirmation. Regular slow lings pop in up here, and well, they don't see the Spire, they still see a noticeably lack of Roach Warren in the main and at the front, more importantly, which is where it usually is. So I think the figuring out is there. I think the puzzle pieces are available. Of course, most people do not stay on Mutas if their opponent doesn't go Mutas, so back into Roaches afterwards, and he might not even invest into a +1 attack for his Mutas. Bly could technically try and snowball, but that doesn't usually happen. Snute's Just gonna try and take the defenses as lightly as possible. Maybe a spur crawler here and there, but really you can deal with this many mutas with queens. The assumption, I guess, is that Bly will transfer out into roaches. 1-1, interesting. I think this is the second time now I've seen someone go for double upgrades immediately. Now, eventually you get double upgrades, right? You either get 1-1 after another, or you get +2 after +1. But the point is, like, one upgrade at a time. But this is the second or third time I've seen someone, and maybe it was last time, I don't remember, go for double upgrades right off the bat. And I wonder what prompts that. I'm not sure. But this means that, so, like, you already had a problem when you went for this style as Bly does, that you have these mutas that kill overlords, they control the map, you might get a faster 4th base and a little bit more of an economy for it too, eventually, but you do fall behind in upgrades. Your roaches don't have 1-1, or 1 at all, sorry, like 1 attack, and they certainly won't have 1-1, like Snute will. The game also is probably going to go on for a little bit longer. These mutas really aren't doing a lot of damage. If they did a lot, if like Snute is literally just like blindsided by this and is like freaking out and doing all types of the wrong moves, Bly could try and just swamp with roaches. And in fact, he might still be trying to do that. There's still no evolution chamber on the way for him. But yeah, for me, I see this, and like Snute does deal with them very responsibly. He already got up to 61 drones, 65, so more on the way, so he doesn't really need to make any more. And he's on his way to Hydras, which, yes, if they're caught alone, are pretty bad against roaches, but as a supplement are very good. 8 drones go down in total, but Snute still holds at 66. There you go. And his 1-1 upgrades have finished. So, I mean, they're vulnerable for sure. 2-2 might get sniped here. But as long as it holds on long enough that Snute gets a good army, then I think that's worth the losses. His 1-1 is already done. Bly has just officially at this point like kind of gone all in. No upgrades, only 49 drones, no 4th base. Snute, I don't think has recognized that quite yet, which is very unfortunate. He moves forward to the Hydras, in fact, and that is a big, big mistake. They're supposed to be protected by the roaches. I mean, he might have even wanted, ideally, an opportunity to make Ravagers if he knew the attack was incoming, but he really hasn't gotten any scouting beyond that couple of lings he sent in earlier. The mutas did a great job of what they're supposed to do, really. You know, you don't know what's following it up. Is it just a big roach attack? Are they trying to macro? What is it? And where is their army, too? And he just missed all of those signs. So, barely saves chunk of the Hydras, but he's still down 20 army supply. Those upgrades are now really vulnerable. Like, before, when they just started, you lose them, oh well, I guess I'll make them somewhere else. But the fact that this one's almost 75% of the way done and is going to die is going to be painful. Roach Warren was rebuilt quickly by Snutes, but still not quite done, so he has nothing but Hydras to make. Upgrades fully denied. Maybe he could also start making a couple queens here and there, but now he's supply blocked. Bly has to be very careful with how he goes in here, as now it's a kind of a full concave for Snute, but I think his army supply up 40 is just going to be better than what Snute has. The Hydras add a little bit more of a DPS, and the upgrades shouldn't be forgotten either. But does it really make up for 30 army supply? I don't know. Ravagers also get the corrosive bile shots on a lot of this army, more going down. Muta's even trying to help after killing a couple of overlords and killing the 4th base. Snute is trying to hold on. He still has 60 drones. Most of them have just simply been pulled away. Or pulled into the army, both. And it's a bit of a stalemate. Bly not feeling too confident in ending the game. That concave, the amount of Hydras available. The upgrades, and Snute's not comfortable pushing out against this army. Back and forth, back and forth. The Bly wanted to. He could maybe start his own upgrades, but he's a little strapped on gas. He is going for a 4th base at his gold, however. So there's some economy behind this. Snute has gone back to mining with about half of his drones. There go the rest. Back and forth, back and forth. Snute taking some nasty corrosive bile hits, but willing to get the Hydras in range, I suppose. Finally restarts his upgrades as well. The single evolution chamber in the main base. 4th base, about over halfway done for Bly, and he will have drones to transfer around. Maybe? Not really. Like, a handful. He did just make a few more, so now he will be able to saturate that gold base. Interesting. I guess Snute's thinking maybe of other solutions to this army problem. I do wonder, like, it must seem intimidating, because Snute still really doesn't have a lot of scouting going on. Like, he doesn't know if Bly already had this base taken, or even this base taken as well. Like, he doesn't quite know. So, because I was going to say, like, I think he could just wait for his army to be a bigger number and then push out with superior upgrades and superior tech. Now, that's exactly what he's doing. The Hydras are mostly all gone, but he still has that 1-1 advantage, and Bly is still not moving towards any upgrades whatsoever. So, yeah, I think Snute realized he did have an opportunity there as well. His 4th base wasn't even denied, although it looks like, I thought it was. There's just only a handful of lings. And Bly, without any more lings, would, he'd give up a lot of grounds to kill that 4th base. He already killed this one, mind you. This was done, and it's died. But to go over here and kill it, or cancel it even, like that, well, that just means that Snute goes back to taking the gold base, I think. Like, he's getting closer to maxed out. Instant cancel, good job. But yeah, Snute's getting closer to maxed out with a decent enough bank that losing, especially the cancel, I think another hatchery isn't, like, so devastating. But, obviously, if Bly is able to continue denying bases, it becomes a problem. +2 is almost done. Hydras on the front line's a little bit, that's a bit of a mistake. But, the point is, upgrades and tech in favor. Bly's got to hope for some pretty nasty corrosive biles. He is no longer, just kidding, he's no longer up in army supply. It's even again. And Bly's going to be trying to go for infestors. Infester fungals with corrosive biles doesn't need upgrades. Not a bad choice. A long time ago, Bly got Burrow, and maybe he was thinking to Tunneling Claws, but he also might have just thinking immediately repairing, healing his roaches. Now he's on his way to Tunneling Claws, and that could be another opportunity to buy a lot of time and do a lot of harassment damage. Roaches, though, don't need Burrow to get in here. They just kind of snuck past, and while that does take away, like, what, 15, 20 army supply from the front lines, it kills so many drones very, very quickly. Almost all of the 3rd base drones go down, puts Snute at 37. He already accrued a bit of a mineral bank, so he's going to be able to replace those. But the queen goes down as well, and larva could be a problem in the future. More drones going down here. Snute did just remake a few, so he's still at 45. Not terrible. But that was a lot to go down. Gold base is going to take a time to be saturated. Overlord trying to chase. Really wants to see what else is coming up behind this, because again, this has been a kind of unsure game for Snute. Still only limited scouting. Only just realized for sure that the gold base had been taken with a little bit of creep spread being revealed. Otherwise, not anything else. So, I think he has a feeling of how the game is going. You know, it's been so back and forth with the army fights. You know, there's no way that Bly has really out-expanded him. But the information just isn't there, so he's going to want to make sure he knows what the tech is behind it. Like, is Bly also going for Hydralisk, or is it Infestors? And then, of course, I'm surprised he hasn't scouted for the potential Hive. Because if Bly was buying enough time to get to a Hive with, like, Broodlords or Ultras, like either one, then Snute could be in trouble. Does manage to see the Tunneling Claws. I mean, it had to be... Well, first of all, it was revealed, you know, visually. But then also, I think it was about time to happen. So, nice Spore Claw positioning. Always mindful to keep his army in a concave and controlled, so Bly isn't finding any open areas outside of the mineral lines. If only one of these is an Overseer. I don't know why it's patrolling over there. I guess in case his Overlord drops? I don't know. That looks funny. Hive starts for both players, in fact. Bly trying to catch up on upgrades, but still not going to be very successful in it. Oh, jeez. A lot of the army caught off to the right side, and Bly does blanket the army with fungals and corrosive biles, but still down 30 overall army supply. With a much bigger bank, but not remaxing quite yet. They both have a lot of larvae to work with. There we go, 15 roaches on the way. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. The corrosive biles. God. Fungals might be gone, but he manages to save 2 of the infestors. 4th base is under attack, so a couple more drones go down. Snute not accruing nearly as much of a bank, and most of the army of Bly does end up surviving. 5th base scouted by the Overlord. But also sees, like I said, it's not mining. Oh no, turn around. Oh god. Wrong decision. These are... Yeah, I guess he chased them, I think, from the 4th base. Yeah, so he knew where they are. We focus her from Bly to kill the Ravagers. And Bly is still, like, way ahead in the bank. He's got those infestors ready to go, where Snoot's finally making his own. 5 are on the way, however. That's not a bad count. Greater Spire, though. They both got to Hive, but Bly already had the Spire, and Snute just isn't thinking about it right now. He has the cash, but, I mean, he's also just busy defending every which way so far. Wow, Snute didn't have Roach Speed this entire time. Wow. Well, it's finishing up now, so... I guess that's why every time I looked, his Hydras ended up being on the... more in the front lines than they really should be. I wonder how these engagements would have looked differently if there was Roach Speed. You just assume that they get it. Especially if it's the person who went for the Roach Warren so early and so calmly. But I guess he was gonna get it, but then the Mutas attacked, so he probably just kept forgetting. Or it was denied, I don't remember which one it was. 7 more drones. 9 more drones. A lot of drones going down again. And while the banks have caught up, Bly is the one that's consistently mining. This is nothing over here, just an Overlord. Broodlords are now on the way, and Snute doesn't have a way to deal with that. I guess he could get Vipers, because they're not frenzied. And that might be a damn decent way to deal with it. Someone just entered my house. I'm going to assume that it's a friendly person. It's a friendly. Yeah, Bly has been winning the income advantage. Only makes sense for how many drones that he's killed. Snute down to 32. Doesn't look so hot there, but he has the bigger bank because his gas bank is a lot bigger. This could be the last-ditch attack, but that fungal hit most, if not all, of Bly's Ravagers. That was pretty damn good. And Bly doesn't have his own infestors, does have his Broodlords, but Corrosive Bile can take care of that as well. Some of them go down. Still, some of them live. Broodlings are free, but they're not dealing enough damage fast enough, and Bly is being overrun. He's desperately trying to get an army, but he's running out of gas every single time he tries. Broodlords in a much better position than they were before. Very difficult to Corrosive Bile these, especially if they're finally being microed, but they're microed into a couple of Hydras, so only 3 of them live. It's getting very, very messy, but Snute might not have an economy behind this. He is doubling the army supply of Bly. And while the Broodlords looked like they might have just been it, what is happening? What is happening? What is this, Abyssal Reef? What is happening? They just weren't protected well enough for long enough. 8 Broodlords chipping away at your army, that adds up. But 8 Broodlords chipping away at an army that is 80 supply bigger than yours, well, it does add up. It means that there's been a lot of damage that you just took. So 15 drones went down, bases went down, 3rd and 4th base, so only 1 healthy base remaining of Bly. And I think the most obvious move is just go kind of all in with whatever resources you have on your Broodlords more than anything else. I mean, don't leave them defenseless. Just went over why that's a bad idea, but oh god. Oh god. Okay, if only Snute knew. That probably would have been free. But yeah, that's the tech advantage that you have. So he needs that fodder, but if he could also get a couple more Broodlords here, if he could get up to like 10 plus Broodlords, and if Snute wasn't already on his way to Aspire, that could have been his ticket back into the army supply problem. More drones going down. I mean, Bly did lose the income war for a bit of time, as he's back down to 1 base mining, so... Yeah, Snute with this base still pretty fresh, and this gold base still having some minerals. That makes sense. His Roach is looking for any hidden bases. There are none. Even if he only gets Corruptors, that's a safer response, I should say, to the Broodlords than hoping that the Hydras get underneath them, because, well, first, there should be an army of Blys underneath his Broodlords, but also, what if a couple of really key fungals come in there and stop you while you try and engage? Every Terran player knows that problem. I have like 30 Marines. They'll take care of 10 Broodlords, no problem, and then they get fungled. I'm not really sure how this game is going to go. They both evened up on Bank again. Snute has had those better upgrades for a very long time. But Bly has the Broodlords, and Tumbling Claws has been doing some significant damage over the last 20 minutes. Well, not the entire game, but most of the game. I'm really not sure. Bly managed to get another base and is protecting it. 8 drones go down. Snute just remade about 15. Queens might start adding up as well. They might start getting that bank back up and then realize they've not rebuilt their queens, so they don't have any larvae. That could be a problem. I think Bly, I was going to say, I think Bly might be better off not bothering to upgrade, but it's really hard to say. If the game really does go on for a long time, then he's going to regret not getting upgrades. But it feels like right now, his best bet is really on the fact that he has Broodlords and Snute doesn't. But now Snute has Corruptors, so, okay. Now he's going to hope that his Corrosive Biles hit, because he doesn't have Infestors. Neither does Snute anymore. That's important to note, but 3 Corruptors against 3 Broodlords. 1 apiece. A couple more on the way. No more upgrades for the Broodlords, or any of Bly's Corruptors if you ever got any more. Now down 50 army supply. Oh, he's gonna kill more drones. Oh, he's gonna. But that won't make up for that army supply. Corruptors dive on the Broodlords. That was a mistake? Kind of hard to tell. I mean, Corruptors do take a beating before they go down, so they live. But so do the Broodlords. That is a 40 army supply advantage. Bly has no tricks up his sleeve. In fact, he has a lot of army missing from this fight, so the Broodlords are instantly taken out. Corruptors weren't even necessary. The Hydras got on top of them. The rest of the army is over here trying to shark attack. I think that's really it, though. I mean, even if they were with the army, Snute's was just so much bigger. Infestor now on the way for Bly, but single one, and now his Rulers are dead. Yeah. Snute just coming out a little more stable with a better army to provide that stability. What a flippin' hard-fought game for both of them, however. That's, I thought Bly would have won with that all-in that he did. You know, it looked very scary for Snute. And then Snute had that upgrade lead. Still does, as +3 attack finishes. Bly has always been missing Carapace. Snute probably thinking, what could I possibly do to throw this game? The answer is not much. You could run into Corrosive Bile and Fungals, but even that, I'm not sure makes up for 100 army supply. And he could accidentally, like, let Bly get away with, like, 1 or 2 bases. But if he saw the numbers that we saw, he'd know it's time to move in. In fact, he sees now that this is probably the entire army. Runs in, does get Corrosive Biled, Fungaled, but it's not enough. Gee. Oof, 23.5 minutes right there. I didn't expect that to happen after, I mean, the all-in versus the upgrades. One of them was probably supposed to win off the back of that, but it just continued on for so much longer, and Snute takes the first game. And I'm going to go to a break, because that was long. So see you in a few. Well, looks about right. We get into game number 2 in the bottom right. As the red Zerg, he is Bly. In the top left, as the blue Zerg, it is Liquid Snute. Oh, we got stuck. Oh, we got a little bit stuck here. A little bit. It'll fix itself eventually, but might take a while. Okay, well, we're just being the center for now. So yeah, set about right because it is Bly going for the early pool, as he did lose the last macro game. Come on, there we go. And even if he hadn't lost a macro game, I think just it's in Bly's nature to throw out an early pool, and sometimes it's more tempting than others. So it is an early pool with an early gas. Snute's going for not the worst build you can possibly go for. Does have a hatch first into pool, then 2 drones, I think, and then a gas is what he did. So there's actually worse builds than that. You can go hatch, gas, 2 drones, then pool. That's like, it's pretty bad. So we'll see. Unfortunately, as you know, everyone knows Overlord positions, especially pro gamer. There's not really a high chance that Snute sees this before Bly knows he will, which is to say that he'll know eventually Snute's Overlord will get to this hatchery, or lack of hatchery, and figure out what's going on. And then very shortly after that, you see that speed kicks in, and that's when you realize that, oh shit, it's like the full all-in version, not just the gasless Zergling opener. Snute, though, I think he knows who he's facing, and the possibility is so high, already just gets 8 lings. I'm pretty sure he didn't see the lings over here, but I might be mistaken. No, I mean, they're already pretty far gone. Well, this Overlord certainly will. I like this tracking. Seems to know exactly how Bly thinks. And it's a good thing he started making lings immediately. Also, it makes a Baneling Nest immediately. A Spinecrawler goes down. You got some nice SimCity over here working it, too. I think he's going to try and block off the ramp, however. He can take a bit of pepper on that natural, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to lose it. Doesn't have to block it. It has enough lings to hold for now. But there come the Banelings. Trying to focus fire, but his lings were a little bit caught on the front of his queens. Queens do not have transfuse quite yet. Nope, 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 nope. It lasts a little bit longer than I thought they would. More lings are on the way. More queens are on the way. Spinecrawler not quite done, and one Baneling still alive. That's going to be nasty to get hit because there's so many lings still left over. He's got a mineral walk out of there. A couple of drones were caught. Does take the Baneling hits, unfortunately, and then that's where instantly just the drones start dropping. 8 drones, 7, down to 7 drones. That Baneling doesn't get that hit. That Baneling doesn't live to see the main base, and it is, I think, drastically less. It probably stops at 3 or 4. And that is something that Snute could definitely have worked off of. 7 is really that, like, super questionable point. Like, it's not quite tap-out time yet. I think that's, like, 5 and below, but 7's like, I don't know. Because it's about, you know, more the fact that you can't really make anything with that. So you can make 1 drone at a time, but not really a lot of lings. So if Snute keeps this army alive, the 2 queens, the Spinecrawler, and he has barely enough to make 1 or 2 more Banelings as the game goes on, I think he'll bring it back in the drone count. But of course, this is a false wall. That's what I'll call it. There's another avenue of attack here. Spinecrawler could be surrounded, but it wants to be able to snipe the Banelings, so it's a risk Snute was willing to take. Another transfuse is going to go into that Spinecrawler. 2 more Banelings come forward here. He wants to try and micro this to the best of his ability. He does save the queen, saves the Spinecrawler still as well. Finally, it goes down. That queen goes down. Oh, but he's got a lot more on the ramp. Bly thought he had an opportunity. Not the case, and this Baneling will go down to 1 ling. 2 lings. Wants to tap that queen, but he's not going to get it. Does get a Baneling for his troubles, and Bly, it's not about really Bly necessarily having the money or not, right? He's starting to bank a little bit. It's just that the larva comes in these waves that might not be favorable for him. Well, it's not favorable for him. No might about it. Snute managed to get back up to 12. Now at 11. Is investing the rest of his cash into queens, something that's a little sturdier for a longer period of time. That is his last Baneling used, I believe, and that is a very scary point in time. Bly only has trickles of lings coming in here, but Snute going for the queens. Maybe should have gone for the lings, maybe should have gone for more Banelings. 2 Banelings roll into the main base. They decide not to. Was that the right decision, though? Was that the right decision? I'm not sure. These are Bly's Banelings. I guess they didn't really look red, so they just run away. 5 Banelings, but if there's nothing to follow up the Banelings, is it really worth having so many? 1 Baneling is gonna get such a great shot. All he needs is 1 ling, and his drones will survive. Needs a split, though. Needs a split. Needs a split. More splitting. More splitting necessary. Up, 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 up. He does it. He barely does it. The best hit possible on 3 drones, but that's it. Snute still at 10. Can survive. These lings want the last shots. Oh, no. Oh, they get 2 immediately. They want that 3rd one. They get it. That's bad news. That sucks. That sucks. Snute was so close to holding at a pretty strong 10 drone count, but back down to 7. Lost his queens. That's going to be it. GG. Persistence. That's how you make it work. Bly brings it back to 1-1. Looks like the decider match of Sort of and Puck of Group C is starting right now over on Wardy's channel. Bly is making the lobby, so it might take a little bit. He likes to usually review the replay or watch the delay. So, just gonna put up the break screen. Taking the breaks where I can find them. Going on about 6.5 hours, close to it. It is game number 3 in the winners match of this group. In the top left, as the red Zerg, he is Bly. No, why you do that? Oh shit. Well, on the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, it is Snute. And they're both Kerrigan right now. They're both thinking the same thing. Stupid freaking Cameron. There we go. You gotta like force it over, and then it'll fix itself. But alright, both like seriously the same thing, guys. Like that's I mean that was a joke, but it was also serious. It's not a gasless pool versus a gas pool. It is down to the exact drone counts of the buildings, and I guess the only thing to determine after this is some players do get Baneley Nest before speed, or vice versa. But I would say that mostly it's speed before Baneley Nest, right? So that's like maybe where the distinguishing feature is, or alternatively where the queen is put into this. So Snute gets 6 lings first, and then a queen. Bly gets a queen, then 6 lings. I mean, this could affect the meet in the middle, hey, you're doing the same thing. But that's unlikely, because usually if you go for an early pool, you're going to try and dodge out the Overlord, and as such, you're dodging out your opponent's lings, and they really should never meet in the middle. But soon enough, they both will realize what's happening. Their second Overlords, or no, their first Overlords will see the second pair of lings come forward. Like this one right here sees lings. This one, I'm not sure if that saw the lings. I don't think it did. Oh, I don't think it did. Oh, no. Oh, boy. So this is only speed. No Baneley Nest. Bly's left a couple of lings back at home. His lings have some opposition, so it's not like he's going to snowball over here. But that hatchery, that's going to be really difficult for Snute to defend with. Takes a second gas. What? Oh, he's trying to say. Oh, okay, gotcha. He needed it for the queen supply. That was very smart. One queen could be the life or death deal breaker. So speed's about the kicking for both parties, but Banelings are on the way for Bly. 2 more on the way here. 2 more, I guess, were made back at home. Yes, they were. So Snute should not be able to get any counterattack damage done. If he runs up that ramp, boom. Gets like 5 lings, something like that, but that's already a lot of damage. These Banelings are kind of sneaky. The Overlords of Snute aren't even around his bases yet, so he has no idea that Bly's already ready to go. Queens do block the ramp, but 3 Banelings, a handful of lings, more than a handful of lings. Spineclaw's almost done. He wanted to break the line before that was finished, but might still try and make it work. His Banelings are still alive. They're just barely not being focus fired. 2 of them for a single Baneling. 4, is it really enough? The Queens have all gone down. A second Spineclaw's on the way. 8 more lings will hold. Another Baneling, though, could be a big deal. No cancel right there. Snute down 2 workers and has that entire hatchery that just isn't really working for him so far. The Baneling hit. Decides to go on the lings. Okay. Another one. Oh, only trades for 1 ling. Snute getting some lucky situations here because he needs them. He does not have his own Banelings. He doesn't have queens or Spineclawers to help snipe them. His micro has it's got to be perfect. And Snute's a very good player, but this is going to be such a difficult uphill climb. Tries to focus fire once again. Almost lost all of his lings over here. Don't know even where to look. So many things could happen instantly and just end the game. Blink and you'll miss it. Nope, no more Banelings though, so just lings versus lings. Not nearly as high pressure scenario. Bly still with no intention of trying to get an expansion, it looks like, is all his minerals still going into that third base, still mining from his gas geyser. Snute really can't afford to put guys in gas and go for a Baneling nest, so he's just stuck on pure ling. But he has got to be taking like better trades, like amazing trades, and it's just so hard to do. You know, if you don't have a Baneling nest, maybe you do have 10, 14 more lings, and that is something that you can work with, but Snute has always been down in supply, always been down in lings, and doesn't have his own Banelings to help mitigate that. So I think this might just be game. He does try Desperate Counterattack, and there's nothing to defend from Bly. So drone's going to go down on both sides, but who has Banelings at the end of the day? Who has more Lings? The answer is going to be Bly. Hatchery goes down. Queen, doesn't matter. Bly, 2 1s. Says F that macro shit. And he's going to be the first one out. He 2-0 special, aka major, and then 2-1 Snute. This guy's having some pretty good results lately. It's about time. ZvZ versus Special will be the losers match of this group, and that is what will be coming up next as soon as they're ready to go. I think it's going to be in the NA server, so see you guys when it's ready.